action.
In this video, I am going to introduce you to the ink cartridges that are available for the Risograph machine. So this chart, we have 9 different colors that you can print in, and they're all shown on this chart. In the printmaking studio, they are located on their very own special shelf, which is directly across from our Risograph machine. It's very nicely organized, and what you'll notice is, though we have 9 colors, there are only 8 ink cartridge boxes available on the shelf. That's because we always keep one cartridge in the machine. So, and because one's always in the machine, that means we don't need that additional extra box. So there are 9 cartridges, but only 8 boxes, and you know which one is in the machine because there'll be an open, empty spot. You'll see every ink cartridge color is labeled on that shelf, and so be very careful to put the colors back where you found them, so people ensure that they are selecting the color that they want to print with. Right now in the Risograph, it looks like moss green is loaded, but the first layer that I want to print with actually is teal. So I'm going to go ahead and change the cartridge. I'll start by lifting this box up. It's heavy. It has a handle, but I recommend holding it from the bottom as well. And I'll go ahead and I will place it on the table. There are 2 latch tabs that you pull to release the box. And then, working from that handle, you can go ahead and tip the box away, and you can see that cartridge that's ready to go stays in place. All right. Interestingly, you can see right here, this is the placement for the master print. This is where your image will ultimately be transferred onto, and you can see that that surface is flooded with ink and kind of ready to go. All right. So moving relatively swiftly, well, still carefully, we're going to unload the previous moss green ink cartridge. I can open the Risograph machine right here. Just like on the trays, the blue touch points are an indicator of what things you as a human should handle while unloading the ink cartridge. This button is the release button. If it's illuminated, it means that the ink cartridge is ready to be released. If it's not illuminated, you can press it to kind of make sure that it's ready to be released. If it still doesn't illuminate, check the display up top. There's probably an error message, and it will instruct you of what next step to take. But here, I open this up. The release button is illuminated, so that means it's ready to go. And so the next step that I do is I take my hand and I put it under this flat handle. There's a little sort of button that I'm able to pinch in, and that releases the cartridge, which comes out on a drawer slide. So pull it all the way out until it hits its natural stop, and then that release button now functions as one of the handles I'm going to use to lift the cartridge out. This blue kind of arced shape handle is my other place that I'm going to lift and carry from. Now I'm able to lift this cartridge up. It is quite heavy, so I'm using 2 hands and I'm making sure I'm gripping thoroughly, and I'm going to walk it over to place and set it down. All right. We'll leave this just as it is for now. And now I'm going to lift the new cartridge the same way I carried the old one. So I have one hand on that flat button handle and one on this arched pull. I can lift straight up. and out. And now the new cartridge goes in just the same way the last one came out. So the arc handle is towards the back of the machine. The flat tabbed handle is towards the front. And then these two kind of edges of the cartridge align perfectly and rest on that drawer slide. Be careful with this part. It is easy to just ever so slightly offset that and not notice that it's not completely aligned, but it should rest very securely on those poles. All right, so before you push it in, just give it a look to make sure that these edge bars are aligning with the pull bars. All right, then when you're ready, go ahead and gently slide it back into place. It should click, and if you push this button, it should stay illuminated, which means it is in and ready to go. All right, so then I can go ahead and close that cartridge in there. And then the very next thing I always do is put the old cartridge away. We do not want this to sit out. The master ink on the surface of that cartridge dries quickly, and so the longer it stays out of its box, the more clogged up that screen is going to get. So as soon as we get the previous cartridge into the machine, or the new cartridge in the machine, we move the previous cartridge into its box. If you've lined it in there perfectly, it's easy to close. But again, if you're feeling like it's catching on anything, jamming on anything, open it back up, adjust it. It has a perfect fit. All right? And so then you'll lock it up. Hold from both the handle and the bottom and place it properly. This was moss green, so I'll put it back in the moss green spot. And that's it.